So big news for former President Trump as the Supreme Court declines to speed up the ruling on Jack Smith's immunity case against him. Trump taking to Truth Social to celebrate the court's decision, saying in part, crooked Joe Biden and his henchmen waited 3 years to bring this sham case, and now they've tried and failed to rush this witch hunt through the courts. So here to react is Fox News contributor and former counselor to President Trump, Kellyanne Conway. Good morning, Kellyanne. Merry Christmas to you. Glad to have you with us.
Good morning, Will.
You know, I'm really fascinated to hear your analysis of this. Every time one of these indictments or one of these rushes to the courts seems to have been pushed by Democrats, it's resulted in a polling bump for Donald Trump. They seem to be banking, though, Kellyanne, on this idea that if they can just get a conviction before election season, that'll flip the polling. Do you believe that's true if one of these 4 criminal cases did come back in time with a guilty verdict for Donald Trump and he were somehow convicted? Set aside the likelihood. But if that did happen, would it flip the polling, Kellyanne?
It wouldn't flip the polling, Will, and thanks for having me. Merry Christmas to you and yours and your co-host. It wouldn't flip the polling. You see the Reuters poll when asked, would a conviction on any of the criminal counts make you vote for or against Donald Trump? A slim majority say they'd vote against him. But when you add Biden to the equation, as the Wall Street Journal poll did, Trump's actually beating Biden 46-45 if he were to be convicted. Then they asked if Joe Biden were to be impeached, would you vote for Trump or Biden? And the Wall Street Journal poll found that Trump is beating Biden by 5 points, 46-41. So we can't forget, none of this is in a vacuum. You don't go into the ballot box and it says Trump or not Trump. It says Trump versus Joe Biden. And just as we knew in 2016, and I said many times then, I'll say again, you have to set aside everything you think about that individual. And in this case, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's man-made crisis of an administration that has created nothing but hurt and pain domestically, at our border, in our communities, our big cities, in your grocery cart, at the gas pump, you name it, and abroad now. We can potentially, and people know this, it's a binary choice. It is not a referendum just on Biden. It is a choice between your life with Donald Trump and your life with Joe Biden. Look, this guy, Joe Biden, was vice president for 8 years, Will. He was the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. You would think a half a century in Washington would at least buy us a little grace and respect around the globe. Instead, we may have one foreign policy entanglement and national security disaster per year of the Biden administration. Afghanistan 2021, Ukraine 2022, Israel 2023, and it could be Taiwan 2024. President Xi Jinping has the guts to say to Joe Biden's face, P.S., I'm going to reunify. The synonym for that is invade Taiwan. Just telling you, Joe. So, but the other thing is the Biden people have put way too much into the judicial system to try to keep Joe Biden there for a second term.
Right.
I have a better idea. Why not just pass better policies? If you have a really good record as president, chances are you'll be reelected. And they're just not. They can't beat him on policies, so they're trying to beat him through the judicial system.
To your point, though, it's too late. It's too late to change your policies.
That's why Trump's ahead.
Well, so here's what I want to ask you.
In every swing state, that's why.
Okay, if lawfare doesn't work, that seems to be plan number one, lawfare. And again, the goal is not to elect Joe Biden, it is to stop Donald Trump. I think they've made that clear. So if lawfare isn't going to work in time, and then the polling is, as you've laid out, and we've seen that Joe Biden can't beat Donald Trump, again, if the plan is to stop Donald Trump, when do they move to the option, remove Joe Biden? Like find someone else who can beat Donald Trump?
Well, speaking of running out of time, I think that's too little too late. They should have done that. If I were a Democrat, I would have gotten rid of Biden and Harris, rolled the dice, Will, and said we'll probably lose in 2024, but we'll save the party and we'll restore the party that was once known for youth and energy and the future. They had JFK and Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, even Jimmy Carter was in his 50s, in his early 50s when he was elected to the White House. Now they turn around and they get these establishment Loch Ness monster creatures of the D.C. swamp like Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden to lead the party, and look where we are. But I think it's too little too late. I think some Democrats like Gavin Newsom would rather this ticket just bleed out. Well, we'll see. I think Joe Biden's bigger play is to have all these third-party candidates to help him the way Ross Perot helped Bill Clinton say in 1992. So Perot got 0 electoral votes, but he got 19% of the popular vote. Bill Clinton got 68.8% of the electoral votes and only 45% of the popular vote. That would be his play. The problem is he's not the challenger here. He's the incumbent, and Perot really helped Bill Clinton and hurt the incumbent, George Herbert Walker Bush.
And right now it looks like third parties pull from Biden, not Trump. So they'd have to find a candidate that would pull from Trump.
There you go. There you go. They need to, and they haven't yet. But there are lots of billionaires out there, 1,100 or so in this country. Will I read that? Somebody can say, I'm worth $7 billion. Why not spend 1/7 of that having fun in the presidential race? And the consultants, I call it staph infection. They'll go and take their $500 million and embarrass that person the way Bloomberg's people did. But look, I think if you're Joe Biden, you stick to Plan A. Plan A is what you just said. Get Trump through the legal system.
Right.
And they believe that in the 91 counts, if he's convicted on one, game over. If they can send the president to jail, God forbid, for one night, that's enough for them. But it's not going to work, and it's not going to work for another reason. Joe Biden probably won't want to debate Donald Trump. We don't even know if Joe Biden can stand still at a podium for 90 minutes. We have no evidence of that, let alone being able to defend this horrible record. So I think that it's Donald Trump who's saying, look, I want to debate him. Here's what I would do to Iran. Here's what I would do with China. Here's what I would do in the Middle East. I think Joe Biden, they're counting on one of these cases being accelerated, being able to convict the president and saying to people, you don't want a president that's been convicted of a criminal charge. We've never had that in history. I just don't think it's going to be enough. People feel so desperate. Last point. Yeah. We as voters, we talk about and even complain about what offends us. We vote according to what affects us. And that's really the difference here. People are going to be very self-interested, as well they should be, as voters. That's why Trump's ahead in every swing state.